ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। Dear Divine Selves, the greatest in the annals of the human history was made by the ancient seers and sages of Holy Land of India. And that discovery pertains not to matter or material puzzles, but about the true nature of self, the true nature of the reality. In Chandogya Upanishad, Tattvam Asi, thou art that. This greatest statement of the Vedanta has come 9 times. The master is teaching his disciple. The self-realized guru is imparting his students the greatest discovery of mankind. And what he is saying, thou art that, tat tvam asi. To put it simply, the Vedantic masters and Vedanta philosophy is telling us that you, the embodied self, the jiva, are nothing but the supreme reality, the eternal, absolute, independent, immortal, almighty reality, variously called as self, supreme self, Brahman, God, Atmana, Paramatmana, Brahmana, Ishvara. These are words. It's also called in some of the philosophical systems the reality, the supreme truth. Lao Tse calls or uses for the same reality the term Tao. Where is that reality? What is the nature of that reality? When you are being told that you are that supreme reality, the self, the eternal, immortal Brahman. You are. What does it mean? Does it mean that at this moment, in the present moment, you are not that self, Brahman or God, but after your death, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe the next year, you will be that God? No. When Upanishads say that you are supreme reality, it does mean that you were always Brahman or God. You are always that Brahman or self or God, and you will always remain that self, Brahman, God, supreme reality, irrespective of the external circumstances and irrespective of your ignorance. Your nature doesn't change. You were always God, because never ever anything else has any existence other than that Supreme Brahman, the God. What Jagat Guru Adi Shankara calls Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman alone is truth. The appearing world of duality is false. So why don't we realize that divinity of our, the immortal, blissful, loving, almighty divinity, the self, the Brahman, the God, that Upanishads call us, why don't we realize it? That is the first and foremost question. Because it's very difficult for us to believe that we are God. And that too right now, right here, in this embodied self itself. Because since morning to evening, we are experiencing tremendous sorrow, suffering, limitations, finiteness, mortality, fickleness, weakness, defeat, disappointment. In the face of all this, it looks the most cruel joke on mankind that the sages and seers are, in the one hand, calling you as Brahman, as God. On the other hand, you find yourself as hapless, helpless, miserable, weak, servile, suffering, ordinary mortal human. Why does it happen? So the question is, can't we realize that divinity within us if we are always that divinity, that Brahman, is it not possible for us to experience that divinity? What's the value of the statements, the sentences and declarations made in Vedas, Upanishads or even other philosophical statements? Unless and until I experience, I cognize that divinity of mine, that Brahman, Atman, the Godhood nature of mine I experience for myself, how can I believe it? Just reading the books and believing that I am God has very little to contribute to your well-being or understanding of that supreme declaration. So what's the problem? Why are you unable to see the fulsome and wholesome dimension of your true reality? There is only a very, in a way, very small problem, which has hidden our true nature from ourselves. Even during the day, if there is thick layer of clouds surrounding or covering the sun, you can't see the sunlight. Similarly, despite the fact that we were always God and Brahman, we are always God and Brahman, and we would always remain that supreme reality known as Self, Brahman and God, there is a thin layer of ignorance. That thin layer of ignorance which has covered our true nature is created by none other than our own ego. Our ego, which has created an artificial sense of separateness and identity with this physical body, always keeps pushing us around through this finite mortal false reality of the body consciousness, which keeps us always obsessed, engaged and busy in artificial, illusory sense of the self that we have identified with. That illusory sense of self, that is this body-mind complex. We think that we are this body-mind complex, and as long as we think that I am this body-mind complex made of flesh, blood and bones, with a name and form, the ego will continue to project false nature of mind through its constant agency of compulsive chain of thoughts. you are being bombarded every moment with some or the other thoughts. Thought about your past memories, and on the basis of those past memories, your ego and mind are constantly projecting fantasies for the future, wishful thinking for the future, which are called desires. Desires have no existence of their own. Desires are artificial projections of thoughts, mind, and ego. Ego, mind, thoughts are themselves illusory and false identity. Therefore, by logic, by nature, the false cannot project or produce real. False can project only false. Ego, the sense of separate identity, the mind and thoughts are always going in the past. Past is non-existent, illusory, mental construct. There is nothing called past or future beyond the realm of mind. The reality exists in the present moment. The truth is available always as present moment, whenever and wherever your mind, energy, attention is being driven, directed, or focused on the past or the future projections. It's a sheer wastage of your time, energy, and resources, and that alone creates the divide between you and your true nature. The God within you, who is always, every moment, every second, is a living reality, in full glory. God, you are in every moment, in every situation, but you are unable to stay to experience or enjoy or cognize that true reality of yourself as Atman or Brahman, only because you are not available. The best and most sumptuous of the meals are presented before you on your dining table, but you are constantly busy or preoccupied mentally somewhere else. Is it possible for you to appreciate the taste of that food, the beauty of that food? You are in a theater where a greatest dancer is performing her dance. You are there to enjoy the dance, but if you are unable to be present in the present moment in that place, is it possible for you to enjoy the beauty of dance? You would never be able to appreciate the beauty, the love, the bliss in the dance that is being radiated every moment of the dance through the dancer. Even so, in our life, our preoccupation with the past memory, past incidents, past events, and future projections based on those past memories is not allowing ourselves the presence, the faculty of perception, cognition, to see the truth within ourselves. The Atman, Paramatman, Brahman is ever present reality in every moment, in every single act, emotion and feeling of ours. There is no force, there is no power other than the power of the Supreme Reality, the Brahman within us, ever present reality, which alone is manifesting through every single acts of ours, emotions, thoughts, and attitudes. The same one non-dual, ever-present, radiant and resplendent Atman alone is manifesting in every single dimension and every single behavior, feeling and emotion of ours. But we are not available. The mind is ever busy with the past memories and future projections, what in ordinary parlance is known as desire. If you read the entire Vedanta philosophy, there is no barrier, there is no problem and obstacle between you and your supreme nature as Brahman other than your desires. What are desires? You think that the desires are something real. How can I strip my desires? I can't throw away, I can't shed away my desires. You have identified yourself with your desires. The truth is that, and that is the greatest tragedy of human race, that desires as such never exist. Desires are biggest illusion. You can fulfill some desire if it really exists, but in deeper observation, you would realize that all my set of dreams and desires were false projections of the false, non-existing past. The mind being oblivious and ever preoccupied since long, many births. The mind is habituated. The mind has become trained to deceive you. No one is deceiving you as much as your own mind. The mind doesn't allow you to be present in the present moment, and whatever exists right now under the false belief that the truth is somewhere else, the Brahman is somewhere else, the God is a phantom, a bizarre shaped entity existing up above in the sky, or after hundreds of thousands of years may it descend on this planet, or it might have descended in Treta Dwapara as Rama, as Krishna, somewhere as Shiva, but not now. The God appeared at certain point of time in certain place, but the God is not there today. Or if at all that God is present somewhere, it must be in the horizon of invisible, incomprehensible, remote space beyond and above the sky where we can't go. This is all created by mind and ego. You are God right now, right here as you are. Even if you are the greatest sinner, in true nature you are nothing but God. Suppose a piece of gold or a piece of diamond is thrown in the mud. Does the ability or the nature of the diamond or gold to be gold or diamond gets compromised? The gold remains gold, the diamond remains diamond, even if it's thrown in mud. It's covered by the thick layer of mud. It obstructs your vision to perceive it, to see it, to experience it as diamond, as gold. But diamond ever remains diamond, gold ever remains gold. Even so, you as you are, don't think that, oh, you have not done great religious penances, you have not done charities, you might not have done great yajnas, you are not such a virtuous person, you might have committed so many of sins or crimes, so you can't be God, you are not God. You are as much God as Krishna, Rama, Shiva. You will always remain that. Because you are Shiva, you are Rama, you are Krishna, you are God. These are words. The words, the supreme reality is beyond words. You are of the nature of that eternal existence, blissful and of the nature of pure awareness. In the first verse of Bhagavad Mahapurana, if the followers of and those devotees, you must have seen these days, at least hundreds and hundreds of Bhagavad Kathas are being conducted every day in this country. But it's a great tragedy that with closer scrutiny and observance, it appears that hardly any lesson is being learned. It has been reduced to, at best, a religious entertainment. Because if the Kathavachaks of Bhagavad Mahapuran just manage to explain the first verse of Bhagavad Mahapuran, just one verse, and there are similarly thousands of other verses. If you could really explain to the devotees, to the listeners, just true dimensions in simple words, whereby the ordinary human being, devotee who is listening to, attending to that Jnana Yajna of Bhagavatam, understands the true meaning of that knowledge that is sought to be provided or imparted through Bhagavatam, it would revolutionize your life. But that is not what is happening. What is that first verse itself? The first verse of Bhagavatam is a full, complete revelation of the Supreme Reality. And it goes like that. Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Apatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Ved Vyasa, in the very first verse of Mangalacharan itself, reveals the entire reality. And he defines that God, the Self, the Supreme Reality, known as Krishna, Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. We salute, we bow down to that Krishna, that Lord Krishna, who makes us free from all the sorrows and sufferings, and who is of the nature of Satchidananda Rupaya. Krishna is of the nature of Satchidananda. Sat, eternal existence, Chid, consciousness, Anand, bliss. And who is source of this entire visible phenomenal universe. The entire visible phenomenal world and universe has arisen out of that Krishna, whose essential nature is of eternal existence, of the nature of pure awareness, which is intrinsically blissful. That Krishna, that Satchidananda Swarupa is an ever-present reality within you. That Krishna is not limited to Dwapar Yuga. That is not what Vedvyasa is saying. That is not what Lord Krishna himself is saying in Bhagavad Gita. That is not what entire range of Upanishads, the entire Vedanta philosophy tells you. That Lord Krishna or that Lord Rama or Shiva is an ever-present almighty, eternal, absolute reality of the nature of eternal existence, of the nature of pure awareness, and which inherently and intrinsically is blissful. All love, bliss and beauty experienced in external world is just manifestation of that Satchidananda. That ever-present reality right now is Krishna. The speaker is Krishna. The listener is Krishna. Because there is nothing else other than Krishna of the nature of Satchidananda, of truth, existence and bliss. It exists ever. But you have been made to believe by vested interest that you are sinful, weak, ignorant, and you must suffer. You are not divine by nature. The divinity is something else, somewhere else, belonging to somebody else. At best, maybe the monks and sannyasis doing penance in the Himalayas, maybe they might be knowing God, they might be entitled to perceive that God. But not we, the ordinary mortals living in ordinary small villages or towns or metros. How can we? It's true that you are unable to realize your true nature, you are unable to experience the Satchidananda nature of yours, the Krishna. Lord Krishna present within you, ever present reality within you is Lord Krishna. Despite this fact, you are unable to experience that, and that is possible, but you are unable to experience it doesn't negate the reality. And those great sages, seers are the spiritual people who are trying to understand through deeper contemplation, meditation, samadhi, and trying to understand that true nature of themselves or the true nature of the God, Brahman, finally end up at the same place. There are some people who are in search of God, an external reality, and there are some people who are in search of the self, the truth within. Once the discovery is over, when the journey is over, when you manage to realize the final destination, you end up at the same place. That supreme reality is non-dual, one of the nature of pure awareness. Inherently and intrinsically, it's a blissful reality, and that same vast space of infinite awareness is called Brahman, God, Atman, and that is an ever-present reality within me and you and every living and non-living being. Therefore, there is nothing but God, and God alone exists. God, Atman, Brahman means the power of and the capacity of, the faculty of knowledge. If God is not present within me, I won't be able to talk to you. Not a single word can come out of me. If God is not right now present within you, and if you are not God at this moment, you can't make out what I am speaking, you can't hear. Forget about understanding the meaning of the words, you can't simply manage to hear what I am saying. The entire phenomenon of the speech being here and listening taking place there somewhere, and in between the relationship between the speaker and the listener is happening in, through and upon that pure awareness. That is Brahman, that is Paramatman, that is God right now, right here and everywhere. That is why it's called omnipresent, omniscient and omnipotent reality, because nothing exists outside that reality. So, the power of pure consciousness, that through which you are able to see, perceive, touch, taste, hear, experience all mundane, sensory, objective world. That power is called God. That's a formless, nameless, attributeless reality, and it is inherently blissful. That pure awareness is infinite reservoir of bliss, beauty and love. All the love, bliss and beauty you experience, even the particle of that bliss and beauty and love through sensual indulgence, including sexual enjoyment, is nothing but a fraction, a ray, a particle of the inherent bliss dimension of that Brahman. So, whenever you derive some sensual pleasure through enjoyment of sensual objects, that pleasure, momentary pleasure, doesn't come from anything external. That out of ignorance you are unable to perceive, but that's your own pleasure, the pleasure that is coming out of your own true nature of Satchidananda, though in adulterated shape it's coming. It doesn't. That supreme reality, Brahman, of the nature of Satchidananda, of pure consciousness, bliss, awareness, by nature is infinite embodiment of love, bliss and beauty. It doesn't need any external aid or sense object to feel love, bliss and beauty. You are unbound mind of love, bliss and beauty by virtue of being pure awareness.